Hello, Benikari brings you brief highlights about the possible resumption of oil production in Ogoni. We've been hearing or reading reports of possible oil resumption in Ogoni, even though, like the latest I read, um, Mr. Rebado, the National Security Advisor to the Nigerian government, haven't been quoted or reported to have said oil resumption may resume soon. I think his last reference was also predicated to or on the Ogoni dialogue and consultation committee, which the federal government, led by Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, set up for the Ogoni people who visited the government at the Aso Rock on, I think, January 21st, 2025, on a visit. I think Mr. Tinubu endorsed the Ogoni people to return home for a broad-based consultation and dialogue, which was a great thing to do, as I have said previously, even though I faulted the Nigerian government for, kind of acting like it doesn't know. Those ruling and running Nigeria do not know what the Ogoni people are asking for. The Nigerian government has the Ogoni Bill of Rights, and the Ogoni Bill of Rights is clear on the demand of the Ogoni people, which is political autonomy. Everything centers around political autonomy for the Ogoni people. And so I'm going to discuss briefly this the result of the dialogue and consultation committee, what the Ogoni people, most of the Ogoni people presented during the period of February 8th into March of this year, 2025. Most of the Ogoni people, based on what we read and based on what we are told by eyewitness accounts, especially the video clips from the Ogoni TV, and individual video clips posted on social media, it is clear, obvious that the Ogoni people, majority of the Ogoni people who made presentation at these various town hall meetings that were organized by the Ogoni Dialogue and Consultation Committee, led by the esteemed Professor Dan Baridam, who is, of course, very respected individual, elite in Ogoni and in Nigeria. The outcome of that town hall, different town halls, which I believe the last one ended in Kana local government, produce a central demand. The Ogoni TV summarized it to be a central demand, and that central demand was the demand for a state for the Ogoni people. Some may call it Ogoni state, while others call it a state for the Ogoni people. Whichever way you see it, majority of the Ogoni people who made presentation demanded that although Ogoni people are not against oil production, after Shell and the Nigerian government was declared or were declared persona non grata, that is sent parking from Ogoni for misconduct, for not respecting the Ogoni environment, for recklessly polluting and degrading the Ogoni environment, for not according to the Ogoni people their right to self-determination, internal self-determination, or call it local autonomy, political autonomy, and economic autonomy, which is simply a state. There has been this conflict, and it has lasted for 32 years today, which is long overdue when considering the fact that what the Ogoni people are demanding is extant. It is currently in existence in Nigeria. There are states scattered around Nigeria, and most of these states depend on oil money. And Ogoni oil was used to create and develop most of these states, while at the same time enriching people in these states except the Ogoni people, because of the way the system is misstructured, right? And so, long story short, majority of the Ogoni people during this period of dialogue and consultation, which held in the different kingdoms of Ogoni, different local governments of Ogoni, demanded centrally that the Ogoni Bill of Rights, which was midwifed by Kens Arawiwa, hence Masop, and the Ogoni people, other Ogoni leaders, demanded righteously that Nigeria should grant the Ogoni people political autonomy, which is a structure that will allow and promote the strategic, concentrated, and concise development of the Ogoni people. Therefore, this central demand made by majority of the Ogoni people who spoke, who made presentation, who submitted their proposals or resolutions during this period of February and March. And so, political autonomy, which is simply a state. There are states in Nigeria, as I have said already, so it is not something that is new. There are ethnic-based states, about 22, 23 of them, as I have said on other occasions. The Hausa Fulanis have about 11, 12. The Yorubas have about 6. The Igbos have 5. The Ibibios have 2. And the Ijos have 1. And then there are other states, such as River State and others, like I said, which are mixed ethnic groups. And so those who made presentation were careful to uphold the provisions of the Ogoni Bill of Rights. And the central demand of the Ogoni Bill of Rights is a state political autonomy, that structure that will allow the Ogoni people to organize themselves to control their political, economic, and socio-cultural affairs by themselves, just like other people, as mentioned already. And so This political autonomy, which is simply a state, covers the rest of the demands that are also in the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights enshrines or stipulates the rights of the Ogoni people not only to political autonomy, which is a state, but also to adequate representation as of right in all the Nigerian national institutions. It is only a state structure by the Nigerian system that allows for that. The Bill of Rights also stipulates the right of the Ogoni people to develop and teach their culture, develop and teach their culture, learn their culture in Ogoni and other parts of the country as well. It also demanded the right to religious freedom, the right to use the Ogoni economic resources for Ogoni development, and not only to use the Ogoni economic resources to develop other people, but the Ogoni people. And then the other aspect of the Bill of Rights is the right to protect the Ogoni environment and ecology from further degradation. It is obvious that Shell Oil, NNPC, and the rest of them recklessly, inhumanely, corruptly, and criminally devastated and degraded the Ogoni environment without even following their own laws, their own policies. And so the Ogoni people who went to these rallies, or call it town halls, are right to have made this demand. There is a second phase of the demand, which came as a result of the persecution that the Ogonis experienced. From 1993, when the struggle of the Ogoni people started, to date, 32 years ago, Ogoni people were persecuted, Ogoni people's rights ignored, the right to political autonomy ignored, and then as a result of the persecution, oppression, Ogoni people were massacred by the Nigerian government in collaboration with Shell Oil. Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 other Ogonis were murdered by hanging. Before then, 4 Ogoni chiefs, respected chiefs, were murdered by the Nigerian government and their proxies. Therefore, the next phase of the proposal by most of the Ogoni people were that Nigeria should review the Kangaroo Tribunal's decision, which unlawfully and unjustly tried, wrongly convicted, and ordered the murder by hanging of Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others as a way of intimidating the Ogoni people and halting the Ogoni struggle, which challenged the status quo. When the review has been conducted, what should follow, as the demand goes, is total exoneration of the Ogoni 9, because they were not convicted of any crime that they committed. neither was there any lawful and fair trial. Therefore, the need for their total exoneration. The Ogoni Four, who were murdered gruesomely, also deserve justice from Nigeria. Nigeria government has not told the Ogoni people what happened to the Ogoni Four, because I remember that Dauda Musa Komu, who was the military governor of Rivers State then, said in a report that was published in Sunray newspaper in Port Harcourt that he was going to send military people, military men, that will protect the Ogoni chiefs who were holding meetings at Gyonko. So, neither Komu nor the federal government of Nigeria has told the Ogoni people and the world what happened thereafter, but trumping up Ken Saro-Wiwa, who was not even at the location but was stopped by their own military men who were everywhere in Ogoni on that day. I witnessed the military scattered everywhere as a young man on that very day. And so the Ogoni Four deserve justice. They deserve proper burial. Their families deserve compensation. The rest of the 4,000 Ogonis who were also murdered randomly by the Nigerian government, by the military, the police, and all of those security operatives also deserve justice. Their families deserve justice. These are the demands that were made by the Ogoni people during this period of town hall meetings conducted by the Ogoni Dialogue and Consultation Committee. To the Ogoni people, I thank you very much to have been brave enough to maintain what Ken Saro-Wiwa and other Ogoni leaders started by demanding what's right, what's fair, and what's just for the Ogoni people. It is up to the Nigerian government to do what's right, to do right by the Ogoni people, to serve justice to the Ogoni people. Not just about oil resumption, but to serve justice to the Ogoni people, to show that Ogoni people are part of Nigeria. All right? Haven't contributed so much to the development of the country, but treated like slaves. The Ogoni people are treated like slaves, like Ogonis do not belong. That's wrong. Therefore, the Ogoni people have deliberated. They have made their presentation. It is up to the Dialogue and Consultation Committee to put everything together and submit it to the federal government. I think by now they should be done with that and should be ready making this final presentation to the federal government. And it is up to the federal government. It is up to Mr. Tinubu and the rest of his team to do what's right. For once, to serve justice to the Ogoni people. A state can be created for the Ogoni people today without creating any other state. Of course, there have been states created without creating a state for the Ogoni people. Ogoni case should be treated as a special case. But if the government feels it cannot create a Ogoni state without creating any other state, it's okay too. But it should create a state for the Ogoni people. to give Ogoni people that foundation, that structure that will help them develop. It is the right thing to do, and it will be a win-win for the Ogoni people and the Nigerian government. Thanks to the Ogoni people. Be Ogoni na ale ape. Ogoni na ya igakọ yonwe azianye. Ogoni na ya igakọ Nigeria azianye. Ogoni na ya igakọ lọgọne azianye. Ndo ya apịa Ogoni. Ndabi wuga be ni kare.